They had collaborated before for The Servant, 1963, I think, and Accident. And The Servant really put Losey on the map. I prefer Losey's American movies, kind of B-movies, noir movies, socially conscious movies, where he can do a lot with subtext without it being self-consciously significant. And then when he met Pinter was just really starting out then as well. And I think the two of them coming together, it resulted in a great film, The Servant. But I don't think it did Losey all that much good. In this particular case, they are themselves servants of this novel, which is an excellent novel, a really first-class novel. Pinter is more dominant here than Losey, and L.P. Hartley and his novel are more dominant than anything else, really. And that's saying a lot, considering how strong a personality Pinter is. This book and the story kind of overwhelms him, especially in the first hour or so. You can start to feel him as it goes on.
They say he's got a woman up this way.
I know. But she doesn't come on Sundays.
It's a very good screenplay, though, of the book. It's very faithful to the book, and it's one of the better adaptations of a book into a film, because nothing is really lost. Of course, I mean, the book doesn't have Michel Legrand music or Julie Christie's Lower Lip, but...
You flew too near the sun, and you were scorched.
The conception of the novel and of the movie, it's an interesting conception, and it's a conception that I liked when I was a teenager, this idea that this one incident or this one thing can completely destroy your life.
Every man should get married. You ought to have married. You're all dried up inside, I can tell that. Don't you feel any need of love?
It's an interesting literary conception. I don't know if I buy it particularly. I can always tell a movie directed by Losey. You can feel him, and you can feel his skittishness. And I think in The Go-Between, you do see there's a lot of camera movements up to buildings, to cathedrals, to the kind of prison bar. At the beginning of the movie in particular, there's a lot of, you see the upper-class characters caged, but in sort of beautiful banisters around them. And then I think when he goes to Ted Burgess's farm, they're always framing him in a barn door, this kind of rough wooden sort of thing. It's very tense, like the movie, and like what Losey's trying to do. He's very driving. It's just kind of a simple thing over and over, very tense. But when he first brings the letter, there's a zoom, he's expressed his love for Marion, Julie Christie. And so the score just opens up into this amazing orchestral sort of thing with the zoom. And that works beautifully.
What a comfort. Your bathing suit on my shoulders. Is my hair well spread?
With her, she's playing a kind of ideal woman, and you have to see why the boy would fall in love with her and why falling in love with her would ruin his life. And I think all you have to do is look at her and the quality she has, and you understand it completely.
Why don't you marry Ted?
I can't. Can't you see why?
Why are you marrying Hugh?
Because I must.
Her strength, the strength of her performance in the movie, is that she doesn't make Marion likable or more understandable than she is. Marion is a monster, really. And you only really understand that when she's an old woman and you hear her talking and deceiving herself.
Remember how you loved taking our messages? Bringing us together and making us happy? Well, this is another errand of love.
And getting this older man to do another bring another message. She's a total monster, and she's been made that by her class, and I think that comes across very well.
Our love was a beautiful thing, wasn't it?
It's a brutal comparison because the theme is exactly the same. It's about a girl, in this case, who sees a young couple.
Cecilia.
And they shouldn't be together. But in this case, the girl does something awful, and their lives are ruined and everything, and she wants to make up for it and everything. And then at the end, Vanessa Redgrave comes in.
I had for a very long time decided to tell the absolute truth.
And it's very funny that Michael Redgrave, her father, did exactly what she's doing with far less words. But the comparison is brutal to Atonement. It's the same theme, but the go-between is infinitely more subtle and more interesting.